Hello and welcome to Early Late Nights, the show that is the most anticipated crossover event with just one pasty white guy since, well, ever. Ever. It's just the most anticipated event ever. Welcome to Early Late Nights, the Explosion Network's gaming news show right here on twitch.tv/Explosion Network. Every Tuesday and Friday at 6:30 p.m. I bring you the latest gaming news, topics, tidbits, extravaganzas, bonanzas, whatever you want to call it. That is exactly what you get from this show. And boy, do we have another jam-packed show, like a jam donut, jam-packed. That's how jam-packed it is. Tonight, we will be discussing Blizzard's rumors about Blizzard's new game coming out, the Esports Wrap Up for the week, going through such games as Overwatch, Dota 2, as well as Tekken 7. I'll be talking about EA's whoopsie, where they've done another terrible thing, as well as going over ScreenPlay Australia's cancellation from Australian networks, and, you know, what's the future for gaming on Australian TVs, both on the free-to-air, that's what it's called, free-to-air TVs, as well as possibly on streaming services. But let's begin with Old Faithful. Everybody knows I fucking love Overwatch, and it's thanks to Overwatch that Blizzard has, you know, probably changed the way they do their work. You know, they've shifted over from the real-time strategy games of their beginnings, which were always fantastic. They're moving away from the MMOs a little bit. They have recently put out an advertisement. Blizzard is looking for a new senior/principal game designer with experience in first-person shooting or action games. And that's fantastic. So that shows that the next game is gonna be, another one of these first-person shooting games. Hopefully it comes with a fantastic story, like a lot of Blizzard content does have. And it's a lot thanks to Overwatch, as I previously mentioned, because I don't think in the past Blizzard were trying to make a single player or a multi. I think it might have been an MMO that was going to come out, and that turned into Overwatch. And it's pretty fair to say that Overwatch has given them the green light to say, hey, you can do this stuff really well. You can do this fantastically. People love your content. People love the game mechanics. People really love the story and characters you design. So go for it. So I'm excited to see what they do. It's really only speculated. It's an untitled product. There's nothing really else about it. The only thing is there might be some real-time strategy elements to it, as in the write-up for the advertised job, it does state somewhere using the word units, which is generally only used in, like, it's, like the design and creation of units, weapons, and characters. And I think you only really use the word units in, the development of real-time strategy games. And I hope that Blizzard still take the time to make real-time strategy games. I'm not, I don't want them to completely shift over because of Overwatch. Overwatch has been fantastic, but your bread and butter, like what started the game, what really brought everything together was those, those RTSs, Warcraft, your Starcraft, your big guns craft. No, that was mainly only Warcraft and Starcraft in each of their iterations. Warcraft 3 was amazing with the expansion of the Frozen Throne, was awesome. So what we really want to see is them to be able to do both, to really find groups that can work on each one, not just give us remasters of the games that you've already created, which, hey, I'd love to replay Warcraft 3 in a better designed engine with a better system, and just to continue that lore and that growth in that game. But, I'd love something new in RTS at the same time, while loving their direction in first-person shooters. In, is it going to be like Overwatch? Is it going to be an MMO? Are they going to make a story-driven single-player game? We'll find out. I'm excited for whatever they do, because in Overwatch they have continued to grow their game. They've continued to put effort, to put love and care into this game. So we should be very lucky with everything we get, thanks to Blizzard, thanks to the community that it has grown over Overwatch. And I want to hear your thoughts. What do you want to see from the new Blizzard game? Do you want to see a very Call of Duty-esque game, which I really don't? Or do you want to see a more character and cartoony game like Overwatch? Do you want to see Overwatch in maybe more of a single-player format? Do you want to see a story game where you play as one of the Overwatch characters, or the Overwatch characters are featured heavily? That could be done really well, that could be done really poorly. We don't really know, so it'll be interesting to see how they grow it, where they take it, what they do with it, because it could, in theory, be really good, and at the same time, it could be really bad. So I want to hear from you, please. Chat out in chat if you're here live. Let me know what you think, or come over to Twitter at your boy Ringo is my Twitter hashtag handle thingamabobber, and let me know, what do you want to see from Overwatch? What do you want to see from Blizzard's new first-person shooting game? Moving right along to that time of the week, each and every Tuesday we have a segment of the show where we're dedicated to esports, and this show is going to have a bit more esports than normal because I'm going to be referring to it a bit later on. But I really love esports for the comical events that are happening, like not comical, but just it's a growth. It's something interesting that's happening and growing. So I'm really excited to see exactly what it has for us in this world. So starting off over at Overwatch League, everybody knows, as I've already mentioned Overwatch like 10 times, this game's going to get mentioned so much in this episode. I don't apologize. There was week 5 of Overwatch League. Don't quote me on that. It might have been week 4. No, it was week 4. Week 4 of Overwatch League played out, and it was a fantastic week. We had plenty of games going to 5 maps, which is fantastic. I love that the competition is getting so tight. It's one of the biggest changes in the league in this stage currently, is that the teams, a lot of the teams that were, struggling to be on that bottom level are really moving up. Maybe not Dallas Fuel, Florida Mayhem kind of is, but definitely not. Oh no, Shanghai Dragons I think is the most promising of the bottom teams as they're coming up, and hopefully they can get themselves that first win. But you have your LA Gladiators, your LA Valiants, the Houston Outlaws, all kind of knocking on that door of that top echelon of Overwatch League teams, and it has been fantastic to watch them push themselves and grow and develop. Some things I want to see is that recently with New York Excelsior, maybe resting some players or trying something new because they are so far in the lead in the overall playoffs, that I want to see more Pine. Big Boss Man Pine was one of the most entertaining and fantastic players in Stage 1, and then he had to take a step back for mental health reasons and went back to Korea before coming back and being slowly integrated back into the team. But recently, Pine's Widowmaker play is popping off insanely. It is so incredible to see him play, and it's just, it's just a highlight reel. If you go and search for Pine's Widowmaker plays from last week, it's just pretty much the whole game, just constant headshots, and just the movement and his positioning is fantastic. I want to see more of him. New York Excelsior, they're in a weird patch because of how they're resting their players and how they're changing their roster and their lineup enough. But I think, they're using this opportunity to propel Pine even further in Overwatch League, but at the same time, do whatever you can to make him more of a star, because he's a fantastic player. He's an inspiration to many Widowmaker and DPS players across the game because of his play style. Is always exciting. It's always interesting. It's good that it's no longer just, we'll wait for Ilios. Pine will come out and play McCree on Ilios and then he'll go back. And we've seen more crazy, kooky, wacky gameplay from Overwatch League last week. It became a bit of a meme in many places. We had TAC Tourbillon being used by the Houston Outlaws on Numbani. There was more crazy 3-tank metas, and we'll see the evolution of that coming forward with the Brigitte meta coming, where it's probably going to be 3 supports, a tank, and 2 DPS, which is going to be a very big change from what we already know. Moving right along to Dota 2 news, Valve has promised that they're no longer releasing, going to do patches during tournaments. Not doing patches whatsoever. They're no longer going to put patches out mid-tournament, which I can guarantee, I don't play the game anymore, but I can guarantee that would have been frustrating. So back in early Feb, Valve came out and said instead of doing big patches, they used to do one big patch every 3 months, they're now going to release smaller patches every fortnight on a Thursday. Which sounds really, it sounds like the game's always growing, always changing, and that's interesting. But they've promised they're no longer going to be releasing those patches during major tournaments, just because. Imagine if you were playing AFL and teams got to trade players, like not trade players, but rather the rules changed mid-game. Like you're playing a sport and just all of a sudden, 1 minute, there's some ridiculous rule about high contact gets changed. There's already ridiculous rules about high contact in AFL, but a rule gets changed on the fly and players have to adapt to that over the weekend. They've got to change, they've got to adapt to it extremely quickly, and it can change the entire tournament. One team that could be doing extremely well in the first day could all of a sudden be failing the next day when they can't adapt to the change that quickly. So I think it makes a more balanced and even playing field if we can just have the same patch for the entire tournament, and then once it's over, drop the patch again, which I think is Valve's plan. I really love how proactive and out there Valve, not out there, but how well they are communicating their mistakes and their changes with their community. I think we need to see more of that from various esports and developers, just communication with your players, letting them know exactly what's going on, that you made mistakes, but you're going to change it, and this is what's going to happen. So it's fantastic to see. I can't wait for the international this year. The whole pro scene has changed so much in the last 12 months because of the Valve's implementation of majors and minors and the point system. So I'm excited, and we're going to finish off this week's Esports Wrap Up with going over to Tekken 7 for something that caught my eye because I thought it was hilarious and I can relate to it so much. And if you're watching this in the VOD or watching this live, sorry audio listeners, up in the preview window I've had one of the games from a recent Tekken tournament happening, and boy, it makes me so happy. It makes me connect with this person. So Tekken Masters have been going on, and one of the top players in the Tekken Pro esports scene has been Saint, and he's been reliably in the top half of tournaments since the game was released, and in past Tekken tournaments as well. And he is fantastic. I really enjoy and love what he brings to the game, but you can't just, it's so joyful. So anybody who's played Tekken for the first time probably knows two things. They play as the kangaroo, as the panda, and also you just low kick spam to win matches. That's all you do. And so Panda is a bit of a meme. So Panda doesn't get played in pro esports scenes of Tekken. Of course, us noobs probably play it because it's funny to see a panda kicking ass. But, it's not a picked character until a player recently came out in the Tekken Masters and has been wiping up shop, cleaning house with Panda. So he came up, I believe it was in round 7, came up against Saint. And most of the, viewership was like, that's whatever, that's how it is, it's how it's going to be, Saint's going to wipe the floor with him. It went all the way to 5 games, and then the Panda player, I think his name was Rengu, won the game and cleaned house. And it shows that anybody can win at any time in that game. There's no, there's probably overpowered characters, but there's still opportunities for the lesser play characters to win. And it's just, brings me hope that players everywhere can use their dumb strategies and Panda play. Now, let me say, the Panda player did not just spam low kicks like I do. He does not just, cheap shot with throws and low kicks the entire game. He combos so well, and even, I don't watch much Tekken 7, but just through the excitement of the casters, it was fantastic to see their disbelief, but also the awe of his skill at the game. It was fantastic to watch. If you have any esports stories or any games you want me to talk about through the Esports Wrap Up each week, please let me know by tweeting at me or chatting to me after the show. Let me know what you want to see. I want to bring you the esports content that you need to see. There'll be a bit more esports stuff later on in the show, so stick around for that. But we're going to move right along to bloody EA. Can we go like 6 months without EA fucking something up? Because boy oh boy did EA just destroy it. Oh, they're just so... After the Battlefront 2 mishaps, and then just everybody disliking the company because of microtransactions, and then people not buying A Way Out because they thought they would be supporting freaking EA because of it. No, guys, you're fine. Buy Way Out. That game, no proceeds go to EA for buying that game. Please do it. Please just go buy it. Just go enjoy A Way Out. But that's not what I'm talking about. So for the last month, a whole month, that's 4 weeks, 30-something days, Battlefield 1 has been, like, Battlefield 1 multiplayer has been unplayable in Australia. There has been an outcry from Australian players how the game's servers are pretty much busted. The game is unplayable. You can't move freely. The gameplay is jaggedy, is quite robotic in many ways. And it's so annoying to see. One, it's just, it's not good enough anymore that Australia kind of cops the cheap end of the crappy end of the stick with the cheap end of the stick. I don't think that's a saying. I don't think that's a saying at all. We don't get the support we deserve. And a lot of it is because of our government or our infrastructure for internet use. But every game that comes out with multiplayer is generally comes out, it's like, oh yeah, Australia, we'll get you some servers eventually. We'll get you some servers. We'll hook you up. And this game has literally been like a game that has a community that is in love, that like is so passionate about its multiplayer. Not to support them. EA's communication on this matter has been freaking horrible. Let alone, pretty much all they've said is, hey, we're working on it. But they've only said that once. They've not come back with anything. There's no, there's no refunding of, or like, a little reward to say, hey, thanks for hanging in there. We're trying to work on it. There was recently, everybody was gifted 10 loot crates, but that was just a worldwide thing. It wasn't a very specific, deal because of the issue that's been created on the game. So it's just, I'm so over. Hey, EA, get your shit together, please. Talk to your fans. Show them that you're working on it. Show that you care, because currently your community is dying in Battlefield 1 in Australia because people just don't think you care about the game. So I don't think some people won't come back. It is getting to the point where, people can have the right to claim a refund on this game or speak to Australian Consumer Affairs and make sure they've got their rights looked out for, because you can't have a game, that's still active around the world, but for Australia, not on. Like, as in, like, Australia, yours is still broken, we can't fix it yet. I understand if it's a complex issue, but come out and say that. Explain to your fans that the issue is, very, is harder to deal with, and it's not something they can fix. But it's been a month. It's been a goddamn month, EA. Please pull your shit together. Australia in general, freaking whatever government is in freaking whatever, in 6 to 8 months' time, well, by the end of the year, please do more for freaking Australia's network infrastructure. We desperately need it. But people just don't care, and it's frustrating. But Australian gamers deserve it. We're a passionate bunch. We love games. You should feel bad for us. Anybody who's not in Australia, feel real bad. Fucking 5 megabytes being a fucking speed. Fucking bullshit. No, I'm not getting myself started on network connections. Let's move on to the tidbit of the show. If you haven't heard, Channel 7 has cancelled ScreenPlay Australia, which is the gaming review show, news show that was out on the Channel 7 networks. Oh, fuck this. Gaming news shows have not done well recently. Like, reviewers have not done well in Australia in the last couple of years. So, I cannot even remember the name of the show. What was the original show? The Spawn Point. Good Game. Good Games. Good Game. That was it, sorry. Good Game originally had Barjo and Stephanie Hex Benedictson, who is in the picture to my right. I hope it's my right. I don't. Fuck it. Whatever. were originally part of Good Game, and that spawned Good Game and Good Game Spawn Point, which was a bit of an Australian legacy on the ABC. Their coverage of games was beloved by many members of the Australian gaming community, and their content was often a bit wacky, could be a bit too child friendly, but it was what it was. And then recently, Steph pretty much left. Well, actually did. Steph and Barjo, who were the two main presenters for Good Games, left Good Game. Steph went to Channel 7 from ABC to start ScreenPlay, and Barjo is now a full-time streamer. Barjo is a fantastic streamer. He is one of my favorite streamers, but it's not in the normal way that I love streamers. I don't love watching Barjo because his shit frustrates me, but I have so much respect for him. So much respect for the effort and the community he's grown on his channel. The amount of random shit that happens with, a pre-recorded him feeding his current self a banana. Look, the Twitch channel's doing fantastically. He has acclaim across Australia, going to Australian events and already being noticed as one of the top Australian streamers because of his time at Good Games and his transition. Steph's been doing some other work as well as ScreenPlay, working with and seeing people like Rooster Teeth, and she had a tour around America recently. But ScreenPlay was doing well. They have a Twitch channel that is regularly streaming. They seem to be running. I never was able to catch the show, but it kind of died. And, of course it was going to die. I don't understand if anybody was confused or concerned that it was going to die or why it died, because Australian, free-to-air TV is not going to support that kind of thing. It's not going to support gaming in general as it is. At this moment in time, is not going to support us. And I desperately hope we're going to move in the right direction as Australia. We're going to be in front of the curve, in front of the trend, instead of behind it, which at this rate, we're going to end up behind it. But I think gaming has a place on TV. It just needs to be presented in the right way. For me, when I watch Overwatch League, when I watch League of Legends, when I watch all those esports, they're presented in such a professional manner that it is just like a sportscast. It is a professional sportscast, but for gaming, which makes me think, why aren't these esports scenes finding more and more coverage on TV? ESPN does esports coverage now. Maybe I haven't seen much of it here on their version of ESPN in Australia, but they have good coverage on their website. They do news reports on it. They've done specials, like 60-minute specials on esports in general, including Dota 2, with the international, going into League of Legends, going to CSGO, and it's great and it's growing. And what I feel needs to be done is recently the AFL worked out a new deal with Channel 7. And Channel 7 also have been working with Cricket Australia, and they've gone and made sure that everything is in position. But what AFL should have done at the same time is AFL has been doing their own esports league as well at the same time. And they should have probably either tried to sell that or promote that, because currently AFL teams are taking on esports rosters as part of their team, which I think is fantastic. There is, we had the debacle with the Essendon esports team thanks to BT. Fuck you, BT, even though I appreciate you sometimes. Fuck you in that manner. Adelaide Crows definitely has their own esports team, and more teams, including NBA teams. NBA had a draft for their esports teams recently. That, there's more and more big industry things taking on esports. TV companies should be looking at this as a way to get on and to jump in. When you watch Overwatch League, there's 100,000 people watching that pretty much every broadcast. 100,000 people, which is probably not a good marker for TVs, maybe, for how they measure things, but it would bring more people in and show a change in the direction they're going. That I think is good. I don't think the stock standard, gaming review shows are going to work anymore, because we have the internet. Gamers have the internet now. Even, the age that people are going to the internet for gaming reviews is getting lower and lower and lower now, because kids are more understanding of, 10-year-olds are more understanding of how to use the internet with their iPads. That's another topic that I'm not getting into that might not be good, but it's something that's the truth nowadays, that it might not have to be on, the reviews and news might not have to be on TV anymore, because Yeah, the internet's a thing, Australia. Accept that. Get over it. Move on. What do you want to see for Australian gaming TV coverage? Do you want to see more TV shows about reviews? Do you want to see maybe more behind the scenes stuff with, TV channels going behind the scenes on games, giving you more reports on the games, more gaming news? Would you rather have your nightly news on Channel 7 to include a gaming aspect to it? Because I think that would always be interesting. I'm over only seeing gaming on TV when it's like, kids these days are learning how to be mass murderers through games. And you're like, fuck off. Just get lost. Just get lost. I don't want to hear this anymore. I want positiveness. I want there to be a positive light from the media on gaming. Because gaming is a positive place, no matter what they say. Should we have sporting events like Overwatch League played on one of the Channel 7 shows? Like they have like Channel 7, like they have Prime. They have Prime like 2.5, probably not. But they have like 7 Mate. 7, like I think they have Go as well, or Go might be Win. I don't know. They have that many sub channels now. Why not have some time on one of those for an esports show, for an esports league thing? Join in. I know it's cheaper for people to run on Twitch, but maybe put some money into that industry and you might get it back. Maybe it's a gamble, but I think you have to be ahead of the curve because that is the way the world is moving. Slowly, but it's going there. So why not jump in front of it? That's what I think anyway. Please tweet at me, at your boy Ringo. Let me know in chat for our after show conversation. What do you want to see on Australian TV? Do you want to see esports? Do you want to see, the gaming reviews and news? Let me know. Tell me if you have some other crazy idea. Maybe DM them to me, because then we can work on them together. Nobody steals it from, the higher ups. Nobody steals it. Fantastic idea. I know. Thank you very much for joining me on this edition of Early Late Nights with me, your host, Ciaran Marchant. This has been the Tuesday, the 1st of May. I know it's the first edition of the show. Thank you very much for joining me here live at twitch.tv/Explosion Network. And it's okay if you haven't been able to make the show. Thank you for joining us on all good podcasting services and YouTube and on Twitch for our VODs. Thank you very much. If you are here live, but maybe next time you're going to be a bit late, check us out one day later on YouTube and on podcast services. Download that file and give us a thumbs up or a rate or a review or a thank you or a follow or a subscription or whatever. If you want to support us, thank you very much. It has been fantastic to grow this show so far with you. If you want to give me feedback on the show, I'd love to hear it. Please. Now, each and every episode we end with 1 minute, 60 seconds of Media Madness where I quickly go through some of the stories and ideas that I have missed throughout my episode, because sometimes there's just too much to talk about. And also, there's tidbits that I just like to try and make up on the spot when I write myself a note and be like, and try and have to think in like the 10, 15 seconds that I have for each one to be like, what the fuck was that about? So, let's see how it goes this week. Thank you very much. I can't wait to see you on Friday and tune into all of our Twitch streams on twitch.tv/Explosion Network. I said it too many times. Let's go! State of Decay 2 is showing worrying signs. People have already got their hands on it. It's coming out this May. It's part of the Xbox Game Pass. Its co-op is apparently really good, but it looks a bit jaggedy around the edges, and there's still a few problems with the game, so that's a bit worrying, especially because that's, one of the minimal Xbox exclusives we're holding on to. Frostpunk has come out on Steam. It is a real-time strategy game or survival game where you're trying to build a town in like a frozen apocalyptic wasteland around a generator. Looks really interesting. It's gone nuts. Everybody's playing it, and it's really good to see the game grow. Overwatch Season 10 competitive has started today. Please jump on, get your calibrations going. I will be in just a moment live. New Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer is coming out, rumored this week, so stay tuned for that. I'll probably have it for you on Friday, I hope. And Corey Barlock has said that there is 5 possible games hinted at for the God of War series that he's interested in making, and Devil May Cry Armor is out now in Monster Hunter. Go check it out and get it. Have a very good day. Goodbye!